Hokage hundreds of millions of rewards. Chapter 341-360. Chapter 341 Innate Realm. Breakthrough. Leave. Time flies by like a white horse. In a blink of an eye. Shiyu has been in open black lens bracket Raichi Cave close black lens bracket for 3 days, and he has not been idle during these 3 days. Haim, the 3 major snakes, he almost visited Raichi Cave. Accompanied by a snake Haim every day, the relationship between them increases rapidly. Although they are all snakes who have lived for nearly 1,000 years, they are quite vague about the emotional aspect. Therefore, it was easy to be controlled by Shiyu. As long as they dominate the direction, it is only a matter of time before they fall. But Shiyu naturally knows that enough is enough, and everything cannot be blindly pursued for speed. Is too aggressive, sometimes it will backfire. During this period, Shiyu was basically together with the 3 major snakes, Haim. However, he did one thing for business. This matter is related to White Snake Immortal. On the 2nd day, Shiyu had a conversation with White Snake Immortal. 3rd realm of their open black lens bracket Raichi Cave Sage Mode close black lens bracket, the change of Jiao Jiao, intentionally or unintentionally. When Shiyu, who had an exquisite mind, heard it, he instantly understood the latter's intention. Since there were also the 3 major snakes Haim, Shinkiba, and Yaki, Tokiyu directly shared some of his own experiences with the latter. In this way, there is no need for him to give a lecture to preach and clarify doubts. It is enough to have White Snake Immortal, or 3 snakes Haim, to teach their clansmen directly. Among these snakes, open black lens bracket Shinkiba close black lens bracket is undoubtedly the luckiest. Able to live, I heard that Shiyu taught to step into the realm of transforming dragons. Is obviously more profound than what is told from the mouth of others. This is like a singer's concert. On TV and live, the feeling is completely different, just like the difference between clouds and mud. Of treatment entirely because he carried Shiyu several times. Therefore, he was extremely fortunate that Shiyu chose to lead the way at the stalactite cave that day. Otherwise, this kind of good thing is definitely not his part. In his opinion, listening to Shiyu's words is better than 100 years of penance. Originally, he couldn't figure out any way to condense open black lens bracket Sage Art Chakra close black lens bracket, but after a little bit of Shiyu, it became clear in an instant. All this because he was there to listen and could ask for advice in person. Otherwise, if it is his own understanding, I don't know how much time it will cost him. Also, some issues are not self-evident. This has nothing to do with talent, then the question. Of course, understanding may not be able to learn. Because it is not enough to rely on IQ alone to achieve the balance of the 3 masters, you also need to have enough sage art qualifications. If not, any genius can learn it. One is a theoretical problem. The other is an essential problem. That is, the so-called practice. Some things you clearly understand. It is still difficult to operate in practice. This is the so-called innate talent. The gap. For example, the teacher explained the same content in the classroom, you obviously understood it. It will not be used flexibly. This is the gap between ordinary students and gifted students. Not all gifted students are omnipotent, and there are areas where they are good at and where they are not good at. For example, some people are born singers, dancers, artists, writers, martial artists and so on. This is the so-called innate domain. The gap, I want to make up for the innate domain by working hard, is basically impossible. Unless that person is playing with things and doesn't want to make progress. And practice, sage mode. The same is true. This is the reason why Naruto is not smart, but he can perceive that natural energy faster than geniuses like Sasuke and Kakashi. Originally, Yaki was looking for Tokiyu for a discussion, but unfortunately they were all stopped by the 3 big snakes, Haim. And after hearing what Shiyu said, he immediately returned to the land of Longyuan. Obviously, he seems to have some insight. And if anyone is to benefit the most, it is none other than the White Snake Immortal. Originally, her Sage Mode had already reached the peak of the second realm, but she still couldn't cross the last layer of film. But it was just such a simple film that hindered her for hundreds of years. To this day, Shiyu's words finally made her realize. So, on the third day, a shocking news spread throughout open black lens bracket Raichi Cave close black lens bracket, that is open black lens bracket Sage Mode close black lens bracket of open black lens bracket White Snake Immortal close black lens bracket entered the third realm. In this regard, the whole Raichi Cave undoubtedly seems to be excited. And some smart snakes have vaguely guessed the clue, and they feel that this matter must be related to Shiyu. Otherwise, how could it be so coincidental? Their ancestors didn't break through early, and they didn't break through late, but Shiyu came to their Raichi Cave to break through. To make them sure of this, a large part of the snakes among them were the dragons that had become feathered when they saw it with their own eyes. That shocking scene is still in their minds to this day. For this reason, Shiyu is the only one who made the whole of open black lens bracket Raichi Cave close black lens bracket to be convinced. And Shiyu also left open black lens bracket Raichi Cave close black lens bracket on this day. When seeing Shiyu using open black lens bracket Horaitian technique close black lens bracket to disappear in front of their eyes, the three big snakes, Haim, felt a little reluctant in their hearts. Among them, open black lens bracket Ikijishima Haim close black lens bracket is the most obvious. As for open black lens bracket Tien Shinshinheim close black lens bracket and open black lens bracket Tangenheim close black lens bracket, they are still a little unclear. Maybe they love it or not, in just a few short days, their heartstrings that have been silent for so many years have been quietly plucked. After seeing Shiyu disappear into the space, White Snake Immortal muttered to himself. Takagawa Tokyu, you are destined to be a legend. Chapter 342 The Repairer of Dead Forest. Konoha Hidden Village, Forest of the Dead. Where a small ecosystem has been formed, and it is the handwriting left by the original Hokage. First Hokage with Mokuden wood style, this place was transformed into a special large-scale training ground for training new students. After nearly 100 years of development, an independent ecosystem has been formed here. The reproduction of animals and plants, elimination and evolution no longer requires human intervention. After the death of first generation, the workload of repairs here has increased greatly. Because the entire Konoha has no one except the first generation. The second person has Mokuden wood style, this kind of blood limit. However, this issue was finally resolved. That is the appearance of open black lens bracket Yamato close black lens bracket. After he successfully transplanted and fused open black lens bracket Hashirama cells close black lens bracket, he became the second man in the world to have open black lens bracket Mokuden wood style close black lens bracket. Therefore, this repair work is tantamount to falling on his shoulders. It was an extremely heavy work for other ninjas, but it was easy in his hands. And today seems to be the time for repairs. Therefore, there is one more person besides Tokiha's clone, Naruto and Kakashi in Death Forest at the moment. No doubt that he is Yamato. His work seems to have been completed, and he is talking to Tokiyu's doppelganger. At this time, Naruto's Sage Mode practice has gradually improved, and now he can condense a trace of Sage Art Chakra. Although not much, it is undoubtedly a good start. Obviously, a period of cultivation in the North Secret has laid a solid foundation for him. Otherwise, he would not be able to achieve such results in this short 3-day penance. According to Shiyu's inference, short as 7 days, at most half a month, Ning can fully master the Sage Mode created by him. As for Kakashi, there has been no significant improvement. 3 days. Time. He still stayed on the practice of integrating himself with natural energy. Only by doing this, the petrified imagination will not appear when natural energy enters the body. In this way, the danger of creating Sage Art Chakra by combining the three energies will greatly reduce the danger. And be overwhelmed by petrification. But I can't blame Kakashi. If Sage Mode is so easy to practice, then everyone can do it. Furthermore, his Sage Art qualification is indeed not as good as Naruto. This is a flaw. Just when Tokyu and Yamato popularized Sage Mode, the space in front of them suddenly distorted. Immediately afterwards, a figure appeared out of thin air in the sight of the two of them. Looking at the figure in front of him, Yamato's expression suddenly froze. Because this figure is none other than Shiyu. Looking at the two Shiyu in his eyes, Yamato, who is a ninja, guessed something at once. Pointing at the Shiyu body that had just appeared, he asked the clone. "Your doppelganger." Hearing that, the clone and Shiyu looked at each other and smiled, and then said, "No, I am." The voice of the clone fell, and it directly turned into a white smoke and dispersed. The incomparable neatness made Yamato look stunned again. He did not expect that many of the people who talked with him were clones. With the disappearance of the clone, his memories during these 3 days all appeared in the mind of Shiyu, the main body. This is one of the magical effects of Avatar. Of course, this magical effect is also accompanied by a side effect. That is to bear the mental fatigue of the clone, which is one of the reasons why multiple shadow clone is listed as forbidden technique. The greater the number of clones, the greater the mental fatigue that needs to be endured. Hands and feet will become weak, and the limbs will be weak. In severe cases, you will be overwhelmed and directly die. There are 3 things to do when reading. Chapter 343 The Common Contractor of the 3 Holy Places. The sun rises high above the ground. There are 4 figures, 2 sitting cross-legged on the bluestone, entering meditation practice. The 2 stood under the shade of a tree not far away, whispering softly. When Shiyu told where his real body was going these days, Yamato asked in surprise. "What? You went to open black lens bracket Raichi cave close black lens bracket." Obviously, Yamato also knows about the 3 holy places of Akatsuki. As the only successor of open black lens bracket Mokuden would style close black lens bracket, he should have some knowledge about the open black lens bracket first generation close black lens bracket. Therefore, it seems that he knew about the existence of the 3 holy places by Akatsuki through the secret realm of open black lens bracket Shikatsu forest close black lens bracket. Later, he suddenly discovered that the Sannin of Konoha had signed a psychic blood contract with these 3 holy places. The 3 holy lands are well-known beings in the world of psychic beasts. Many ninjas who know Akatsuki and their existence want to sign contracts with them, but it is useless to think about such things. The first is to have enough chances to find the secret realm where the 3 holy places are located. But this method is too difficult, only those who are destined. There is no way, the secret realm where the 3 holy places are located can be said to be beyond the world outside this world. Similar to the small world of the fantasy world. Compared with the first one, the second one is much simpler. That is to be led by a contractor, and they can lead you to sign a contract directly with the Holy Land. Tokyo and Naruto for example, Jiraiya did this in the first place. He didn't even say hello to Mount Myoboku beforehand. Sasuke was the same at Orochimaru, and Sakura was the same at Tsunade. Their behavior is the default and is allowed. Otherwise, the immortals of the Holy Land will not let them summon psychic scrolls. Ability. But it is not easy to get the approval of the Holy Land contractor. Either you are his apprentice or you are a relative. Shiyu didn't hide anything from Yamato's doubts. "Well, I went to do something." After receiving confirmation from Shiyu, Yamato asked again, "How did you find Raichi Cave?" Legend has it that the 3 holy places are extremely hidden. If there are no people in the holy places to lead the way, even if you have such a chance, it will take a long time to find it. But it's 3 days for Tokyo. It took only 3 days to find it. Although Tokyo hasn't answered yet, Yamato subconsciously thinks that Tokyo is probably the so-called destined person. Moreover, it is still extremely fateful. Otherwise, it is impossible to find the legendary Ryachi Cave in such a short time. I found a clue in the research base of Orochi. After careful research, I probably guessed the location of Ryachi Cave. So it is. Yamato's mood between the words has eased a little. This statement is much more reliable than that kind of extremely destined people. Right. Shiyu. What are you doing at open black lens bracket Ryachi Cave close black lens bracket? No wonder Yamato asks this question, although open black lens bracket Ryachi Cave close black lens bracket is also one of the legendary 3 holy places. But that holy place was the place where the psychic blood pact was signed with Orochimaru. If they knew that it was Shiyu who killed Orochimaru and their Holy Land contractors, I don't know if there would be any action. Ordinary people wouldn't take the initiative to contact them, but Shiyu did it. If Shiyu wanted to, if he signs a blood contract with open black lens bracket Ryachi Cave close black lens bracket, then he can find Jiraiya and Tsunade. After all, he is also their apprentice. Apparently, Yamato didn't know that Tokiha had signed a contract with the 2 holy places open black lens bracket Mount Myoboku close black lens bracket and open black lens bracket Shikatsu Forest close black lens bracket. Can't blame him for that, because very few knew about it. Facing Yamato's problem, Shiyu said 2 reasons. There are 2 reasons. First, where do I want to go for a while? The powerful psychic beast who defeated the tail beast. Second, I want to sign a psychic blood contract with open black lens bracket Ryachi Cave close black lens bracket. What a psychic beast that defeats the tail beast! Yamato exclaimed. Obviously, this news shocked him extremely. Because it was the first time he heard that an ordinary psychic beast could defeat the tailed beast. That kind of level of existence. Captain Yamato, no surprise. What we humans can do, can't they be psychic beasts? Yamato, who heard the words, was stunned for a moment, then nodded in agreement. Obviously, he felt that what Shiyu said was very reasonable. Ordinary psychic beasts may not be able to do it, but that it is a psychic beast that came out of one of the 3 holy places open black lens bracket Ryachi Cave close black lens bracket. That is a holy place with sage mode, so naturally they cannot be compared with ordinary psychic beasts. After the first surprise was answered, Yamato continued to ask. Time Feather. If you want to sign a contract with the Holy Land, you can go to Jiraiya and Hokage-sama. Why do you want to be far away? Also, there may be risks associated with this trip. In Yamato's view, the relationship between Shiyu, Jiraiya, and Tsunade, neither of them should refuse his request. However, Shiyu chose to choose open black lens bracket Ryachi Cave close black lens bracket whose details are unknown. There must be some reason for this. To Yamato's second question, Shiyu still answered patiently. Was bored guarding Naruto and Kakashi here, but Yamato was willing to chat with him, which just happened to be what he wanted. That's because I want to be the common contractor of the 3 holy places. Chapter 344 The Gap Between Yamato and Hashirama. I want to be the common contractor of the 3 holy places. As soon as Shiyu said this, Yamato instantly froze in place. That moment, he thought for a while that he had heard it wrong, and couldn't help but ask confirmingly. Shiyu, do you want to sign a psychic blood pact with the 3 holy places? Seeing Shiyu nodding, Yamato couldn't help taking a breath of cold air. Obviously, this answer is too shocking. Signing a contract with the 3 holy places at the same time, this sentence will be considered a joke by anyone who hears it. A big joke. It is difficult for a ninja to sign a blood pact with a holy place, let alone 3 threes. This is not a multiple choice question. But Shiyu still needs 3 threes. This result will not surprise Yamato, not to mention him, even Jiraiya. Thinking of this, Yamato also asked in a low voice. Shiyu, have you signed a contract with open black lens bracket Ryachi Cave close black lens bracket successfully? Of course it's signed. If it wasn't for them being too enthusiastic and urging me to stay for a few more days, I would have returned long ago. Hearing Shiyu's words, Yamato was stunned. Although he had never seen what the teleportation Holy Land looked like, he was not so hospitable. That's why he couldn't help asking. Shiyu, are the beasts of the Holy Land so enthusiastic? It's all right. Shiyu did not pass the test, practice sage art and explain new things about sage art in the past few days. Otherwise, Yamato would probably be shocked. Someone else's holy place, trained his sage art to a point, and even beat up his strongest psychic beast. And others are still enthusiastically begging you to stay as a guest. Who will believe that even Yamato, who has seen Kamui of Tashiyu Taizan, may not believe such a thing? No way, this sounds absurd. Shiyu didn't answer in detail, and Yamato was embarrassed to ask more. What he didn't expect was that Shiyu had already signed a psychic blood contract with open black lens bracket Raichi Cave close black lens bracket. Thinking of this, Yamato asked. You said that you want to become the co-contractor of the 3 holy places, then you can go to Jiraiya-sama and Hokage-sama now. No need. Shiyu responded with a sound, and immediately said, I have already signed the contract between Shan and Shikatsu Forest. When Shiyu said this, Yamato was completely dumbfounded. He never thought that Shiyu had already passed away. This kind of thing is absolutely unprecedented. Shiyu is undoubtedly the first person in the world of ninja. If these words came out of someone else's mouth, Yamato would definitely doubt it. But if it's Shiyu, he has reason to believe it. Let's not talk about Shiyu's strength, just his close relationship with Jiraiya, Tsunade, and his contribution to Konoha. The two will definitely not be stingy. But believing in believing, there is still a bit of skepticism in his heart. No way. The news was so shocking that people couldn't believe it easily. Shiyu caught a trace of suspicion in Yamato's eyes and couldn't help but say. Yamato. Captain, you don't believe it. No. Yamato hurriedly responded, and then said, it's just that this news is too incredible, so I haven't recovered for a while. That's it. Shiyu responded lightly, but didn't say anything. Obviously, he did not want to prove it. Because there is absolutely no need for this, Yamato's belief or unbelief will not affect anything. Anyway, the latter will always see it in the future. That's why Shiyu's words suddenly changed. That's right. Captain Yamato, are you interested in learning open black lens bracket sage art close black lens bracket? Yamato was stunned when he heard the words. He didn't expect Shiyu to ask such a question. In other words, he did not expect Shiyu to be so generous. You must know that a powerful ninjutsu is not something that every ninja will easily teach others, because it is their unique trick. Leave it alone. Does Yamato have sage art qualification? But Shiyu's question instantly raised his affection for Shiyu to a higher level. Although they didn't get along for a long time, Shiyu's place in his heart was now higher than those of his colleagues who knew a lot. Of course, it's just those colleagues who rarely get along. As for Kakashi, that's not something you can easily surpass. You must know that Kakashi is the man who rescued him from the root department, and there is a bond between them that is unsurpassable by ordinary people. Open black lens bracket sage art close black lens bracket. It is impossible for Yamato to say that he does not want to learn such a powerful art, but he is just a little embarrassed. After all, he is now Shiyu's team leader. Moreover, his personality is more introverted than Kakashi. Tokyo, I don't need it anymore. They worked hard enough to teach Naruto and Kakashi by yourself, and I don't want to increase your burden. Furthermore, the aptitude to practice sage art is exquisite. This kind of talent can be said to be 1 in 100, and I don't think I have that talent. Hearing Yamato's answer, Shiyu smiled slightly. Shiyu knew that Yamato didn't want to trouble himself, so what he said at this time was just polite. If Shiyu was really working hard, he wouldn't be stupid enough to ask for an errand, and he wouldn't be enjoying the shade under this tree at this moment. So-called master leaves the door, cultivation depends on the individual. No matter what you learn, you have to rely on your own efforts. The cultivation of sage mode is even more so. If you don't have innate aptitude, everything is empty talk. And the reason why Shiyu asked Yamato to learn sage art was for his purpose. Because Yamato has successfully integrated open black lens bracket Hashirama cell close black lens bracket. The latter can use open black lens bracket sage mode close black lens bracket, and it is so powerful. Therefore, as Yamato, the only replica of open black lens bracket Hashirama close black lens bracket, he should also possess this qualification. It's just that the quality of qualifications needs to be verified. Naruto's is superior, Kakashi and Sasuke's are inferior. Maybe learn that, Yamato, of open black lens bracket sage mode close black lens bracket. Still not as good as open black lens bracket Senju Hashirama close black lens bracket, but his combat power must be significantly improved. Shiyu just wanted to see, how much difference is there between Yamato and Hashirama in sage art. There are 3 things to study. Chapter 345 _ The Man Who Ended the Sengoku Era. Hearing Yamato's words, Shiyu smiled lightly. Captain Yamato. There are 2 now, and it's not bad for you. Of course, I won't force you, it's all up to you. Before you make a decision, though, I have to tell you one thing. Yamato, who heard the words, was slightly taken aback and asked directly. What's the matter? You must know a lot about the first Hokage, but you may wonder why he is so strong. When Shiyu's profound words fell, Yamato frowned slightly. After a short period of contemplation, there was a flash of light in his eyes, obviously thinking of something. What do you mean first Hokage, master is also master, sage mode? Nice. Shiyu affirmed, and immediately said, there are only 4 sage modes in this world, and 3 of them belong to the 3 major spiritual holy places. And the sage mode of the first Hokage comes from the Shikatsu forest. He signed a blood contract. Yamato, who heard the words, was slightly taken aback, and then asked. Shiyu, how did you know this? That's because it happened more than a year ago. Grandma Tsunade was teaching me to summon the psychic beast of Shikatsu forest, but because I used too much force, I accidentally summoned Slug Immortal. Open black lens bracket sage mode close black lens bracket and open black lens bracket first Hokage close black lens bracket is what open black lens bracket Slug Immortal close black lens bracket told me. After hearing what Tokiyu said, Yamato not only got the answer to this question, but also the answer to another matter. That is whether Shiyu really signed a contract with the 3 holy places. Originally, Yamato still had a little doubt in his heart, but now this doubt has disappeared. What Shiyu said can be false, but he will sage mode is absolutely true. This is a fact, there is no denying it. If not, what did he teach Naruto and Kakashi Tokiha about this matter, which really touched Yamato's heart? The first generation of Hokage has not only been the founder of Konoha, but also the idol of Konoha ninjas. Yamato is no exception. After all, I fear Senju Hashirama not only founded Konoha, but he conquered the 9-tailed beast by himself. The man who shocked the nations and ended the Sengoku era. You must know that the ninjutsu he learned is basically Hashirama. But because of its own limited strength, the strength displayed is not of a grade at all. If he can learn open black lens bracket sage mode close black lens bracket, those powerful open black lens bracket Mokuden, wood style close black lens bracket he can practice. Not to mention perfect presentation, but to be able to use it. Watching Yamato pondered for a moment, Tokiyu asked again. Captain Yamato, now do you want to give it a try? Then trouble you. Yamato was silent for a while, and finally spit out the words in his heart. Immediately after, Yamato suddenly thought of a question. Had to ask. Time Feather. You said just now that there are 4 sage modes in this world, so outside of the 3 holy places, where does the other one come from? From Konoha. Tokiyu's answer made Yamato dumbfounded again. From Konoha, does Konoha have Sage Mode? He has never heard of it. You must know that he is a member of Anbu directly under Hokage. If Konoha really has Sage Mode, he will not be able to contact him, but impossible not to have heard of it. If it is said that the original Hokage is staying, then it is not right. Because according to Tokiyu, the Sage Mode of first Hokage comes from Shikatsu Forest. So, it definitely won't be the fourth type that Tokiyu said. Thinking of this, Yamato is even more puzzled. As for why the first Hokage did not pass down Sage Mode, there is a reason. The first is because open black lens bracket Sage Mode close black lens bracket cannot be learned by everyone. But it is not the main thing. The main reason is that if you want to learn the open black lens bracket Sage Mode close black lens bracket of open black lens bracket Shikatsu Forest close black lens bracket, you must get the consent of open black lens bracket Slug Immortal close black lens bracket. In other words, authorization. After all, this open black lens bracket Sage Mode close black lens bracket is created by them open black lens bracket Shikatsu Forest close black lens bracket, and they have the right to make this decision. Of course, except for the contractor. And Tokiha learned the open black lens bracket Sage Mode close black lens bracket of open black lens bracket Shikatsu Forest close black lens bracket, entirely because he summoned open black lens bracket Slug Immortal close black lens bracket. Sage Mode close black lens bracket created by Naruto and Kakashi himself, but the open black lens bracket Sage Mode close black lens bracket from open black lens bracket Shikatsu Forest close black lens bracket. But as far as I know, Konoha has never had a rumor of Sage Mode. For Yamato's doubts, a meaningful smile appeared on Chiyu's face. Captain Yamato, I created this fourth Sage Mode myself. Because the Sage Mode of the three holy places is created according to their own race, it is not perfect for us humans. And the Sage Mode I created is based on our human body structure. Although it is more difficult, it is the most suitable. When Chiyu said these words, Yamato's face was sluggish. He thought about it a lot, but couldn't come up with a reason. But what he never imagined was that this fourth Sage Mode was actually created by Chiyu himself. Although he didn't know how difficult it was to develop Sage Mode, it was definitely not an easy thing. Otherwise, human development has not yet appeared. As for animals, they existed earlier than humans, because humans are primates that evolved from animals. The animal world does not know how many years it has evolved, and only three race masters have mastered this kind of power, which shows how difficult it is. But Tashiyu alone created a kind of open black lens bracket Sage Mode close black lens bracket, and it will never take more than 2 years. Wouldn't this surprise him? However, if you let him know that it took only 7 days for Chiyu to create this Sage Mode, it is estimated that the worldview will be turned upside down. Chapter 346 Inches Takagawa Tokiha, and 6 Paths Immortal. At this moment, the eyes of Tokiyu, who Yamato looked at, changed completely. He knew that Chiyu's strength was very strong, and it could be said that he was the strongest ninja he had ever seen. But what he didn't expect is that Chiyu is so evil in all aspects, and even the sky-defying technique, Sage Mode, can be developed. This move is undoubtedly an ancient and modern, and will definitely leave a legend in the ninja world. His current thinking is the same as the previous White Snake Immortal, and he already regards Chiyu as a godlike existence. Originally, Chiyu's killing of Orochimaru was enough to shock him, but what he didn't think about was that Chiyu signed a blood contract with the 3 holy places at the same time. What I didn't expect was that Chiyu actually developed a Sage Mode by himself. Sage Mode that belongs to human beings. All these things are as difficult as reaching the sky, but in Chiyu's hands, they are so easy to do, as if they were at your fingertips. Various deeds show that Chiyu's growth has completely exceeded his comprehension. A young man who has been a ninja for less than 3 years has surpassed all of them at one time. This is not a miracle. He once wondered whether Chiyu could be comparable to the legendary founder of the ninja world, 6 Paths Immortal. In other words, Shiyu is the reincarnation of 6 Paths Immortal. Otherwise, how could there be such a defying ability? His idea is not groundless, but after Orochimaru was killed, he came back early to have an in-depth conversation with Kakashi. That time, the object of their discussion was Tokiha, and the idea of the reincarnation of 6 Paths Immortal originated from Kakashi. Originally, he thought that Kakashi's idea was a bit exaggerated, and no matter how strong Shiyu was, he couldn't compare with the founder of ninja sect. But now, he chose to look at each other, or rather, he had to think so. Seeing Yamato stunned in place, there was no movement, Shiyu finally couldn't help but said. "Captain Yamato, let's go to Naruto. Stay with them." Good. Stunned, Yamato, who had come to his senses, also nodded. First time he's had such a gaffe at such an age. Then, Shiyu and the others headed towards a bluestone area not far away, where Naruto and the others practiced. A few minutes later. A pile of blue boulders at the entrance, there are 2 people sitting cross-legged. They are none other than Naruto and Kakashi. Now that Naruto's cultivation is on the right track, it is only a matter of time before he learns Sage Mode according to his progress. As for Kakashi, it is much slower. Of course, there are results. 3 days of practice, he has been able to control the free flow of natural energy in his body. Won't be petrified like a few days ago. It's a necessary process, and Kakashi has done a very good job relatively speaking. Because of this, Kakashi and Naruto basically don't have to worry about it now. Therefore, Shiyu will have time to go to the shade of a tree not far away to enjoy the shade. The current situation of the 2 is generally the same as the memory of the clone. Withdrawing his gaze from the 2, Shiyu's gaze rushed back to Yamato, who was standing aside. "Captain Yamato. I'll first tell you about the method of cultivating Sage Mode and what you need to pay attention to during the cultivation process." After Yamato nodded, Shiyu started talking. After a while, Shiyu turned around, pointed to the bluestone pile where Naruto and Kakashi were, and said, "Captain Yamato, choose one for yourself." Chapter 347-Raid on Kurenai Yuhi's residence. "Captain Yamato, choose one for yourself." Hearing Shiyu's words, Yamato's eyes also fell on the bluestone pile. After some scanning, he chose a location. It is a smooth blue-gray stone pier more than 10 meters to the left of Kakashi, which is very suitable for sitting in meditation. Immediately after, Yamato didn't have any unnecessary nonsense, and stepped directly into the stone pier. After sitting down, his eyes turned to Shiyu again, and when he saw Shiyu nodding, he no longer hesitated and closed his eyes. Undoubtedly, he is about to begin to perceive. Hesitating Yamato is the first time to perceive natural energy, so Shiyu can only wait by the side. Otherwise, surprises can easily occur. That is, he proposed to let Yamato practice Sage Mode, that is to ensure his safety. If not, his face will be lost. Sure enough. As Shiyu had guessed, Yamato successfully sensed natural energy after 4 or 5 hours. Although not as good as Naruto, but a little better than Kakashi. Seen that this open black lens bracket Hahirama cell close black lens bracket must play an indispensable role. Otherwise, Yamato's own talent may not be able to perceive it. Of course, during these 4 or 5 hours, Yamato also had the danger of petrification, but they were all resolved by Tokiyu. Cultivation open black lens bracket Sage Mode close black lens bracket, petrification is an unavoidable process. Of course, except for those who have sage body. But when Yamato opened his eyes, he found that there was more than one person standing in front of him. Besides the latter, there are 2 others. That is Naruto and Kakashi. They have been practicing for quite a long time, and they quit the practice state as early as an hour. Although both of them were in the state of cultivation before, everything that happened around them was the Tao that could be perceived. Practicing open black lens bracket Sage Mode close black lens bracket, it is not unusual to be able to perceive everything around you when you use natural environment as integrated. After all, in this state, it is possible to gain insight into the changing trajectory of things, so as to take the lead in taking precautions. This ability appeared in the Battle of Konoha between Senjin Naruto and Six Paths Pain. So when Kakashi and Naruto quit their cultivation state, why did they practice Sage Mode here? Because they already know everything. It includes everything Shiyu said before, such as returning from open black lens bracket Raichi cave close black lens bracket, signing a psychic blood contract with open black lens bracket Raichi cave close black lens bracket, becoming the only man in history to sign a contract with Sandu. If they weren't in the cultivation state just now, they would probably have shown extremely shocked expressions. Especially that guy Naruto, maybe he will rush over to ask long and short. But since he couldn't easily get distracted by practicing Sage Art Chakra, he resisted the urge in his heart and forcibly pushed through. As for Kakashi, he is okay, because his concentration is obviously better than Naruto. That's why they quit the cultivation state and didn't ask any questions, but were just shocked. At the same time, the moment Yamato opened his eyes, he was not surprised by the proximity of Naruto and Kakashi. Obviously, he had already sensed all this. Okay, it's getting late. Today's practice is here first, let's have a good meal in the evening. Reason why Shiyu made such a suggestion was not because Yamato joined the great team of their cultivation, but because he spent 3 days in open black lens bracket Raichi cave close black lens bracket, he basically ate game. I'm really tired. Now that I'm back in Konoha, it's natural to have a good time. For Tokiha's proposal, the three Kakashi 3 make no sense. Immediately after, of 4 people walked towards the center of the village. That night, Shiyu did not return to his home after Kakashi and others separated. Instead went straight to Kurenai Yuhi home. Ever since Kurenai Yuhi was jealous that day, Shiyu hasn't looked for her for a long time. There should be a limit to the so-called drying. Once it is a long time, others will not care about it. So, a clear explanation must be given in a few days. In this way, he was able to attack the city in one fell swoop. Tonight, Shiyu chose to raid Kurenai Yuhi's accommodation. Obviously he was fully prepared. Now that everything is ready, only the east wind is owed. And this wind is Shiyu himself. So tonight, something big will definitely happen. Other words, Kurenai Yuhi was the first target that Tokyo chose to hunt. Because, the latter is undoubtedly the mature one among so many flowers. If you don't pick vegetables, it will slowly wither, which is not the result Shiyu wants to see. After a while, Shiyu stopped and looked up at the familiar house. In the house, the lights were dimmed. Obviously, Kurenai Yuhi is no one. In this regard, Shiyu's heart flashed a little bit of joy. A wicked smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he finally took a step forward again. Da, light and rhythmic footsteps, a kind of gripping feeling, as if in foreshadowing what is about to happen. Chapter 348 by Akugan Spy. World of Two People. Moonlight is like a wash, pouring out on the earth. A ray of moonlight fell on the door of a house, whether it was intentional or no doubt, and reflected a thin shadow. Looking along the shadow, you can see that its owner is a young boy. He is only about 15 or 16 years old. No doubt that he is Tokyo. The house he is in at the moment is Kurenai Yuhi's residence. In addition to the white brilliance here, there is also the faint light in the room that squeezed out a ray of light through the glass windows with curtains. Shiyu stopped for a few seconds, then reached out and rang the doorbell. Dong, ding dong. As the doorbell rang, there was a sudden rustling in the room. But the door was not opened directly, but a nervous voice came out. Who? Mr. Yuhi, it's me, Shiyu. After learning that the person at the door was Tokyo, Kurenai Yuhi was stunned for a moment, and then became more and more nervous. You wait. The rustling sound from before became louder and louder. At this moment, Shiyu could also hear it. It seemed to be the sound of the slipper rubbing against the floor. Why Tokiyu's curiosity was aroused. What the hell is Kurenai Yuhi doing inside and why hasn't he come for so long? Out of curiosity, Shiyu directly turned on Byakugan. Although open black lens bracket Byakugan close black lens bracket can only see the veins and chakra flow of the human body, the general outline of the human body can still be seen clearly. To Shiyu's surprise, Kurenai Yuhi was changing clothes at the moment. At this moment, Shiyu finally understood why Kurenai Yuhi was so nervous just now. Why did she know that she hadn't come to open the door yet, so she was just taking a shower? Oh, what a pity. Knowing everything, Shiyu sighed softly and then closed the open black lens bracket Byakugan close black lens bracket. Because it doesn't make any sense to look at it anymore, open black lens bracket Byakugan close black lens bracket, see-through eye penetrates even the flesh, and sees the structure of the veins in the body. So, other things can't be seen. Although Shiyu can use open black lens bracket Kamui close black lens bracket to peek, but Shiyu thinks it is completely unnecessary to peep at this kind of thing. Because I'm afraid it won't be long before he can see the whole picture. But Shiyu has to admit that Kurenai Yuhi's figure is really good. Because he wears ninja clothes on weekdays, he is restrained. Just under open black lens bracket Byakugan close black lens bracket, that outline is invisible. A few minutes later. Creak. With a slight sound, the closed door was finally opened. At the moment when the door was completely opened, a beautiful shadow came into Shiyu's eyes. At this time, Kurenai Yuhi was not wearing ninja clothes as usual, but loose clothes, which made her look more feminine. There are still a few drops of water hanging on his cheeks, and the blue silk on one end is still a little wet. Apparently because of the rush of time, I could only simply wipe it, not dry it. This kind of Kurenai Yuhi looks so beautiful. Staring like this, Kurenai Yuhi, who was in his 20s, couldn't stand it. After all, Shiyu has already occupied a place in his heart. Facing the man he likes, no matter whether it is a beautiful woman or a woman with. Even the beauty of the iceberg will be melted. Shiyu, why are you here so late? If you want something to eat, I don't have time to cook it for you now. Apparently, Kurenai Yuhi was still jealous when he bumped into Tokiha out of Sakura's house that day. However, the arrival of Shiyu made her feel somewhat relieved. Otherwise, if she really didn't want to see Shiyu, she wouldn't have opened the door for Shiyu just now. Mr. Yuhi, I've already eaten. Also, I also brought your favorite, sweet and sour tenderloin. Between the words, Shiyu raised a bag in his hand, and in an instant, there seemed to be a fragrant scent coming out. Seeing this, Kurenai Yuhi was a little moved. Because she hasn't eaten yet today, she urged the 8th class members Hinata, Shino and Kiba to train, and then she was delayed for a while at Tsunade because of the task. So, she just came home not long ago. It wasn't intended to take a shower and then go out to eat. Who knew that Shiyu suddenly came when she was taking a bath, causing her to be in a hurry and at a loss for a while. That's how the first rustling sound came from before. Mr. Yuhi, do you not welcome me? Shiyu asked tentatively, wanting to see what Kurenai Yuhi means now. How can it be? Kurenai Yuhi was stunned for a moment, and subconsciously spit out a sentence. Obviously, her heart was completely against Shiyu, just because she was competing with the emotion in her heart. This is the mentality that women often have. Just because she didn't show this mentality, that's because she's not Shiyu or something, and the two of them have nothing to do with each other now. So even if Shiyu interacts with other girls, or even if something happens, she can only hide her unhappy emotions in her heart. Because, she doesn't have this qualification. Thinking of this, Kurenai Yuhi seems to have some plans. Call. I saw a small sigh of relief, and then said. Since you're here, come in. The tone at this time was much gentler, obviously because he didn't want Shiyu to disgust him because of his emotions. The jealousy in her heart was also mostly eliminated because of the sweet and sour tenderloin in Chiyu's hand. The only one in Kurenai Yuhi's house now. Because open black lens bracket Kurama Yakumo close black lens bracket has come out of the haze, she is now back to her own family residence. She is the daughter of the patriarch of the Kurama clan, and the only clan of this generation to inherit the demonic illusion-type bloodstain boundary. Whether for the sake of her family or her own father, she should shoulder the burden of prospering the Kurama clan. So next, it is their world of two. Chapter 349_Spring is sprouting. Emotional explosion. In the house. Shiyu and Kurenai Yuhi sat opposite each other, and when Shiyu opened the box of sweet and sour tenderloin for her, a smile appeared on his face. A sweet smile. It was a smile she had never had before. Because this kind of smile is only revealed when you meet someone you like, and you can't help it. Because at this moment, Shiyu was like her boyfriend. Okay, you can eat. While speaking, Shiyu pushed the opened, sweet and sour tenderloin in front of Kurenai Yuhi, who then calmed down. Oh. At this time, Kurenai Yuhi didn't want the Konoha Jonin in people's eyes, but she was just a woman with a budding heart. Apparently, Kurenai Yuhi, who had been hanging out for a few days, seemed to want to understand a lot. Perhaps this is the reason for the emotional outburst. If it wasn't for the scene where Tokiyu came out of Sakura's house, she might not have known that she had fallen in love with Tokiyu unknowingly. And this kind of seed should have been planted in the incident of Kurama Yakumo after nearly 2 years of germination. The seed is already thriving, and the scene where Sakura sends Tokiha away from her house is the catalyst for flowering. This is how she was absent in the center of these 3 days. This is why when she first saw Shiyu, her tone was full of discomfort. Undoubtedly, her spring heart is rippling. After living for more than 20 years, she finally realized jealousness. What is it like? While eating the open black lens bracket sweet and sour tenderloin close black lens bracket in the lunch box, Kurenai Yuhi did not forget to ask. Shiyu, what do you have to do with me so late? The reason why Kurenai Yuhi asks like this is because Tokiyu almost always comes here to eat rice. It's all over for dinner today. Moreover, the latter also brought a copy of her favorite, sweet and sour so-called, nothing to be courteous, Nanjien because in her opinion, she herself has a different attitude towards Shiyu. Feelings, but Shiyu may not have the same thoughts. Mr. Yuhi. Look at what you said, I can't come if I'm okay. Look at you. In the past 2 years, you have taken care of me a lot. I see your kindness to me. Today, I went to dinner with Mr. Kakashi and the others. It just so happened that the shop has your favorite, sweet and sour tenderloin, so I thought I'd bring you a copy. If you don't accept my kindness, forget it, please don't doubt my sincerity. Hearing Shiyu's sincere words, Kurenai Yuhi was taken aback. She never imagined that Shiyu had brought this food for her because of her own preferences. Shiyu, I'm sorry. I shouldn't doubt your sincerity, I'm just curious why you came to me at night. Seeing this, Shiyu knew that the plan was very successful. So he started a further offensive. I don't know why. Since that night a few days ago, I saw that you turned away without saying hello to me. I once wondered if it made you unhappy. But I've been thinking about it for the past few days, but I still can't think of a reason. So, I'm here to find you tonight. 1. As I just said, this is my sincerity. 2nd, I just want to ask, what is the reason? I hope you can tell me the truth, Mr. Yuhi, otherwise, I will definitely not be able to sleep again tonight. Shiyu's words were sincere, as if everything was as he said. And Kurenai Yuhi, who has long been attached to Shiyu, naturally has a decline in judgment under the action of hormones. To her, this preconceived idea directly occupied her subjective consciousness. Although she really wanted to tell Shiyu the reason, she didn't know how to open her mouth for a while. Is it too straightforward to confess that I like you? Shiyu couldn't accept it for a while, and she will gradually distance herself from herself in the future. This is obviously not the result she wanted. The two looked at each other like this, and the atmosphere fell into embarrassment for a while. I just don't know who will break it. Please download the novel without underline. Chapter 350_Fight and Fight, Kurenai Yuhi. Moonlight, in the room. The two figures sat opposite each other, but they were both silent. Shiyu saw that Kurenai Yuhi had not spoken for a long time, and as a man, he was the first to break the silence. Mr. Yuhi, do you have something to hide? No. Kurenai Yuhi responded hesitantly, as if he had made some kind of decision, and the conversation suddenly changed. Time feather. Before answering yours, you have to answer me a question. Yes. Shiyu replied with a smile. It's just whether you have a girl you like. Holding back for a long time, an extremely difficult sentence finally spit out from Kurenai Yuhi's mouth. And when Shiyu heard the words, there was a glimmer of joy in his heart. He knew that Kurenai Yuhi finally couldn't restrain the emotion in his heart and wanted to give it a try. But I didn't dare to say it directly, so I could only make a side-by-side attack first. The master has enough information, let's see if he wants to reveal his feelings. Originally a woman, it is difficult for her to spit out this kind of thing directly, and besides, she is still much older than Shiyu. If you ask questions rashly, it may be the result of losing both sides. Instead, it is better to keep this affection silently in your heart and treat it as a kind of good memory. In fact, she is not the only one who has such thoughts. Anko, Shizune and Tsunade all have similar thoughts, and they are all afraid that Shiyu will be alienated from them because of this. Especially Kurenai Yuhi. If it hadn't been for Shiyu's appearance, I'm afraid she would have accepted open black lens bracket Sarutobi Asuma close black lens bracket, the second son of open black lens bracket third generation Hokage close black lens bracket. But Shiyu suddenly appeared in her world, and there is still an indelible mark in her heart. Because of this, she can only refuse Asuma's love. It's a pity, Sarutobi future, this cute little girl is destined to cease to exist. However, maybe there will be a open black lens bracket Takagawa Mirai close black lens bracket in the future. Although Tokiyu knew why Kurenai Yuhi asked this, he still pretended to be confused. Mr. Yuhi, why are you asking me this? If you want to know why I'm angry, answer my question honestly first. The reason why Kurenai Yuhi dared to be so bold is not afraid of Shiyu's misunderstanding. That's because he speaks in an elder's tone, and her relationship with Kurama Yakumo is extremely good. On the surface, they are mentors and apprentices, but they are actually more like mothers and daughters. In the heart of open black lens bracket Kurama Yakumo close black lens bracket, Kurenai Yuhi is both teacher and mother. Existence. Without the latter, she would have died a long time ago. And she also knew the mind of the latter during the period when open black lens bracket Kurama Yakumo close black lens bracket lived in her house. Ever since this little girl pulled out the inner demon, she has completely relied on Shiyu. No way, after all, it was Shiyu who saved her from the nightmare. Kurenai Yuhi naturally understands Yakumo, so she has been suppressing the emotion in her heart. But the more suppressed, the more out of control it becomes once it erupts. After all, Shiyu is only 5 minutes away from her family. Seeing Shiyu and Yakumo flirting with each other, her heart was even more unhappy, and in the end she could only perform tasks out of sight to ease her mood. And just a while ago, Yakumo had to go back to the Kurama clan residence because of family affairs. Without Yakumo's presence, her mood was much better. Because once Shiyu came to eat, it was only the two of them. Don't say affection. Thick, but it was a very pleasant conversation, which made Kurenai Yuhi more and more inseparable from Shiyu. So seeing Tokiyu coming out of Sakura's house a few days ago, the vinegar jar will be turned over. At this moment, Kurenai Yuhi is speaking in an elder's attitude, and seems to be asking for Kurama Yakumo. In fact, it's her own question. If Shiyu really has a heart, then she doesn't want to force it, and bury this emotion in her heart forever. But if not, then she has hope. I have to say, Kurenai Yuhi is thinking very well. Because in this way, even if the final result is not as she wished, she can still meet and get along with the former Shiyu. Yes. When these two words came out of Shiyu's mouth, Kurenai Yuhi was startled, and a look of loss flashed in his eyes. Because this answer has undoubtedly cut off her hope. Although the look of loss in Kurenai Yuhi's eyes was only fleeting, it was captured by Tokyo very well. Because he also thought about it, but when he said the answer, what kind of expression would the latter show? He is very satisfied with the answer. Because he can be sure that Kurenai Yuhi really has feelings for him, if the previous words can't prove anything, but the look at this moment is true and cannot be faked. The subconscious will reflect what you think in your heart. This is human nature. People who can perfectly hide their expressions almost exist, unless they are puppets or dead people. Whether it is a kind-hearted person or a wicked person, as long as it is a human being, there will be something to care about. Is no way to stop the emotions and desires. A series of things such as ups and downs, pain and itching, poisoning and illness will make a person react subconsciously. Therefore, only puppets and dead people can truly keep their faces intact. And just when Kurenai Yuhi was extremely disappointed, Tokiyu's voice sounded again. I like so many girls. For example, Sakura, Hinata, Tenten, Ino, they are not only my classmates, but also my partners. And there are Grandma Tsunade and Sister Shizune. Even though they take care of me meticulously, they are like my relatives. Of course, as well as Teacher Yuhi and Teacher Enko. When Tokiyu's words came out, Kurenai Yuhi's heart that had been annihilated once again ignited a little fire. Needless to say, she saw hope. After a moment of silence, Kurenai Yuhi clenched his jade hand and said again. Shiyu, this is not what I want to ask. Which is that? Shiyu continued to pretend to be dazed, as if he was an idiot who didn't understand emotions. Just the girl you like. Hearing this, Shiyu pretended to be stunned for a while, and said in a hurry. So that's the case, did you say it earlier? So, do you have a girl you like? Kurenai Yuhi took advantage of the situation to ask questions, and was about to ask a reason. At this moment, Kurenai Yuhi is obviously ready to go. Now she is not a Konoha Jonin, just a woman who simply wants to pursue happiness. Long as there is a glimmer of hope, she will hold on tight. Therefore, it is understandable to have this emotion. Seeing Kurenai Yuhi's appearance, Shiyu felt dark in his heart. Because the more the latter is like this, it means that she cares more, which proves that her affection for Shiyu is more profound. And this is the effect that Shiyu wants to see. Chapter 351 _ Get the Truth. Start to fall. Do you have a girl you like? When Kurenai Yuhi raised this question for the second time, Shiyu knew that this time he would definitely not be fooled. Mr. Yuhi, you really want to know? Of course. Seeing Kurenai Yuhi's decisiveness, Tokiyu looks like his conspiracy has succeeded. This is what you asked me to say, don't be angry later. Don't worry, am I such a stingy person? This seems to be Shiyu's vaccination in advance, but in fact he did it on purpose. Mr. Yuhi. There are so many girls I know, and they're all really good. For example, Sakura, Hinata, Tenten, Yakumo and Ino, or Fuma Sasama in Otogakure Village, Fishing Fire in Kuni of the Sea Tamari in Sunagakure Village Close Black Lens Bracket Wait. But I don't know why, there seems to be a figure imprinted in my heart, preventing me from thinking about other people. Hearing Shiyu's words, Kurenai Yuhi was extremely surprised. She hadn't thought that Shiyu's heart was not one of these, so she couldn't help but sigh in relief. Originally, she thought that Shiyu might like Yakumo, so she asked her for a guarantee in advance. If he said it, she couldn't be angry. But now it seems that she was wrong. After a bit of surprise, Kurenai Yuhi also looked like he was inquiring. She really wanted to know who had this blessing and could make Shiyu so favored, even at the expense of so many excellent girls. Fuma Sasamu, Yuhuo, Tamari, they are not familiar with them, but she basically knows all the girls like Konoha. Especially Hinata and Yakumo, both of whom are her disciples. Of them are equal in appearance and ability. Noble daughter of main clan from the Hyuga family, and the heir to the patriarch of the Kurama family. Both of them are talented girls with blood stain limit. Not only that, but their characters are extremely gentle, quiet, and well-behaved. It can be said that they are the best choice for many men's dreams of a beautiful wife. But Shiyu still didn't like it, which made her incomparably curious about the person Shiyu had never forgotten in her heart. With this in mind, Kurenai Yuhi asked again. Shiyu, who is this woman who makes you think about it? Between the words, Kurenai Yuhi stared at Shiyu, and even put down the chopsticks in his hand. Obviously, she has no appetite at this moment. Shiyu, who heard the words, did not return to him, only to see that his eyes were directly facing Kurenai Yuhi's eyes, as if to convey some message. Although Shiyu has not spoken yet, at this moment Kurenai Yuhi is already in chaos. And blood under the clothes was beating violently at the moment. The speed is unprecedented. Thump, thump, when we get to the back, dong 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 dong. At the same time as the heart is pounding like a deer, Kurenai Yuhi is also trying to deny this possibility. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. How could Shiyu like me is too ridiculous. The age gap between us is there, we are nearly 10 years apart. Although it is said that the female junior holds gold bricks, but I am more than 9 years older than me, do I want to hold 3 gold bricks? If not, then why is he staring at me like this, and he said that before. If I say it, you can't be angry. Besides, why does Shiyu always come to my house for food for nearly 2 years? Is it really because the food I cook is delicious? Obviously not. What she does is it's just home-cooked food, nothing outstanding, but Shiyu is a frequent visitor. If he was just for the sake of eating, why did he desperately help me solve that Yakumo problem and that sweet and sour tenderloin he brought me today? Is it just for the sake of chatting at my house for so long? At this moment, Kurenai Yuhi's mind flashed countless images, and countless thoughts flashed through. After looking at Shiyu for a few seconds, Kurenai Yuhi's eyes began to flicker, and he didn't dare to look at him. Apparently, she's shy. Looking away, Kurenai Yuhi's speech is a bit slurred. Shiyu, why are you looking at me like this? Mr. Yuhi, didn't you just ask me to tell you who the girl who was imprinted in my heart was? Then you say it. Between the words, Kurenai Yuhi's little heart was beating even more, if the previous stare wasn't clear. So now Shiyu's words are already implying something. That person, in my spiritual world. Spiritual world. Shocked at Kurenai Yuhi, and was a little stunned for a while. Nice. It is said that the eyes are the windows to the soul. Didn't Mr. Yuhi see it just now? I didn't notice. Kurenai Yuhi's emotions fluctuated between the words, because at this moment Shiyu's words seemed to mean something, so she couldn't understand. Is the shadow imprinted in Shiyu's heart really her? Since I promised to tell Yuhi teacher, I will definitely do it. Mr. Yuhi, I don't mind letting you read it again. Look again. Kurenai Yuhi exclaimed, and the heart that had just calmed down began to speed up again. What, doesn't Mr. Yuhi want to know? If that's the case, then I can't blame me for not keeping my promise. Use words. Kurenai Yuhi fell silent. Yuhi's lips with her teeth, but in the end she couldn't hold back the heart that wanted to know the truth. So, she chose to watch it again. Wait, I'll just watch it. Hearing Kurenai Yuhi's answer, the corners of Shiyu's mouth raised a slight arc, as if some conspiracy had succeeded. Immediately after, Shiyu still looked directly at Kurenai Yuhi as before, his deep eyes seemed to be glittering with ulterior motives. This time the roles of the two have switched, and it was Kurenai Yuhi's turn to meet Tokiyu's eyes. However, when Kurenai Yuhi resisted the shyness in his heart and carefully looked at Shiyu's eyes, he found a face in the latter's pupils. When she saw it carefully, she was instantly stunned. That Zhu Yuhi's small mouth opened slightly, and she was full of excitement or joy, and an indescribable emotion came to her heart. At this moment, she knew that she had been cheated by Shi Yu's routine. But the problem was that she didn't actually dislike this routine. Not for others, just because the face reflected in Shi Yu's eyes is not someone else. It's herself. Just when Kurenai Yuhi didn't know whether to be surprised or shocked, she found that her lips had been sealed. Chapter 352_Fall in Love. Give up resistance. At this time, Kurenai Yuhi was speechless, only a slight murmur. A pair of beautiful eyes stared at the boss, looking at the face that was so close at hand. The body was like an electric shock, with a feeling of numbness. For a while, he didn't know what to do, as if he had given up resistance. But Shi Yu knew that this needs to be done step by step and should not be rushed. Having been together for so long, Shi Yu knows Kurenai Yuhi's character very well, who is not a casual woman. Even if it is to face the one you love, it is impossible to surrender your precious body after the first confession. Instead of letting the latter push him away, it's better to see him now. Because there is a first time, there must be a second time. So, he doesn't have to worry at all. If there is no accident, Kurenai Yuhi will definitely fall completely because of this kiss. Then slowly fell in love, and finally couldn't extricate himself. As soon as he thought of this, Tokiyu immediately pulled back. And Kurenai Yuhi's lips that had been sealed for an unknown period of time were also liberated at this moment, but then the lips seemed to be more and more moistened by Yuhi. It was also at this moment that Kurenai Yuhi finally recovered. After realizing what happened, that beautiful face was instantly covered with fiery Yuhi, which spread to the neck and the base of the ears. Next second, she saw her brows furrowed tightly, and a pair of cold eyes stared at Shi Yu. Obviously, she was a little angry about Shi Yu's sudden attack. Who had expected this for a long time, was the first to speak. Mr. Yuhi, this is my reward for telling you the answer. It's late at night, I'll see you another day. Voice fell, Shi Yu had already slipped away. By the time Kurenai Yuhi reacted, Shi Yu had already fled and disappeared. In this regard, Kurenai Yuhi is both angry and happy. She is angry that Shi Yu sneaked up on her lips without her permission, and she is happy that the person who the latter likes turned out to be her. After a few thoughts flashed through my mind. Kurenai Yuhi looked at the direction in which Shi Yu disappeared, and had to touch Yuhi's straight lips, the corners of his mouth curved up. Although the heart is sweet, but the mouth is still unforgiving. Hey, this time you run fast. Next time, you won't be so lucky. If Kurenai Yuhi were to hear what Shi Yu said, he would definitely reply like this. So, Mr. Yuhi, you still hope for another time. Bang! Kurenai Yuhi closed the door, leaning against the door and smirking. Obviously, the current result makes her extremely happy. She feels that her boldness is right, otherwise, it is impossible to pierce this window today. Household paper. Originally, she was worried that Shi Yu would not take a fancy to her because of her age, but she didn't expect the latter to have a plan long ago. Even though she knew that Tokiyu had approached her on purpose before, she was not angry when she learned the truth. Contrary, there is still a little bit of joy in her heart. After all, everything is because of love. Therefore, she feels that she can forgive. However, she never thought that she was only one of Tokiyu's hunting targets. Moreover, Shi Yu did not personally tell her that the person imprinted in her heart was her, Kurenai Yuhi. Shi Yu just said, eyes are the windows to the soul, and that person is in my spiritual world. Kurenai Yuhi stared into Shi Yu's eyes, and the person inside was naturally herself. But if it is a person, the result will naturally change. Therefore, Shi Yu will say it in the future. Moreover, he has already formulated a surefire strategy, only to implement this group of delicate flowers after they have been thoroughly picked. I smirked for a while with my back against the door. Kurenai Yuhi just returned to her seat, At this time she looked at the box of open black lens bracket sweet and sour tenderloin close black lens bracket on the table. Mood is completely different. The curvature of the corner of the mouth is more and more curved, and the pair of long eyes in autumn water are like starlight rippling. Undoubtedly, she began to slowly fall into the fall. But what Kurenai Yuhi never imagined was that Shiyu had a panoramic view of all this. Shiyu seemed to have escaped before, but in fact he sneaked back again. Its purpose is simple. He just wondered how Kurenai Yuhi would react so he could take the next step. First, he uses open black lens bracket Byakugan close black lens bracket to determine the location of Kurenai Yuhi. Next, use open black lens bracket Kamui close black lens bracket to find a blind spot that Kurenai Yuhi can't see. Double protection can be said to be unwitting. Ordinary people can't do it if they want to, because they think that to achieve this, they must have two kinds of blood stain limits. Moreover, it is still a pupil type. Yes, after seeing Kurenai Yuhi's appearance at this time, Shiyu's heart was settled. He knew that the former was basically taken down by him. Originally, she planned to use open black lens bracket Koto Amatsukumi close black lens bracket to make Kurenai Yuhi fall in love with her completely. Then, he can go straight to the business. But when Kurenai Yuhi confronts Shiyu if he has a girl of hope, he changes his mind. Now it seems that his decision is correct. Compared with winning her love and body by control, this method is obviously more reliable. It was also because of this that Shiyu dared to be so bold just now and directly sealed the latter's lips. Thinking about it now, Shiyu has a lot of aftertaste. He is looking forward to it. When will the next time Fei Lu remind you? Chapter 353_waiting Anko. Are you going to do something again? Shiyu secretly peeked at Kurenai Yuhi for a while, but didn't stay much longer. Since I plan to come to Japan for a long time. So, there is no hurry. Anyway, the current Kurenai Yuhi has fallen into his Five Fingers Mountain. It is absolutely impossible for the latter to escape. However, having said that, the feeling of running after this kiss is really cool. The more addictive it is. After leaving Kurenai Yuhi's house, it was not too early when Shiyu saw him, and he was planning to go home and have a good sleep. But what he never expected was that when he arrived downstairs of his house, there was a person standing at his door. A woman. When Shiyu saw this beautiful figure, a flash of surprise flashed in his eyes. Because this figure is none other than Anko, who slept with Shiyu for a night a few days ago. Originally, Shiyu thought he was going to find her by himself, but he didn't expect the latter to come by himself. Besides, it's still the middle of the night. Isn't this a mess? Originally, Tokiha was going to take Kurenai Yuhi down, but the latter only had a little sweetness there. At this moment, it is inevitable that there is something unpleasant in my heart. At this time, Anko. However, he found himself. This is not a sheep entering the tiger's mouth. Although I don't know what Anko has come to find me so late, it is undoubtedly a good opportunity to win the latter. Let go of Kurenai Yuhi, but Anko is probably hanging. Thinking of this, Shiyu also hurried upstairs and left. When Shiyu went upstairs, he did not lower his footsteps. So, Anko should be able to hear clearly. That's why. When Shiyu just passed the corner, Anko's eyes were already locked on him. What are you doing? You're back so late. The dinner with Kakashi-sensei was too full, and I just went to digest it. Really? Anko questioned, not believing Shiyu's wording. It is said that a woman's sixth sense is always accurate, and it really isn't a lie. Of course. Shiyu responded, and immediately changed the subject, obviously afraid that he would go out of his way. Teacher Anko, it's so late, you asked me for it. It's okay, I can't find you anymore. Of course, the door of my house is open for Teacher Anko at any time. It sounds nice. Anko shattered lightly, and then said, do you know that I waited here for more than half an hour? Shiyu was also slightly taken aback. he never thought that Enko would wait so long at the door of his house. Thinking of this, Shiyu couldn't help but guess. Could it be that she is preparing to dedicate herself tonight? Shiyu naturally hopes so, but the fact is, what it was, only Enko knew. However, it can be seen from Enko's expression at this time and the tone of Shiyu's dialogue that she doesn't seem to care about what happened that night. Maybe it's because of her character. Maybe it's because she has other ideas anyway. Tokyo is not clear now. Next, Shiyu didn't have any unnecessary nonsense either, and immediately opened the door. Click, squeak. A series of operations are smooth, without a trace of ambiguity. At the moment when the door was opened, Shiyu did not make a gesture of forgetting to ask. Master Enko, please. Seeing this, Enko also smiled slightly. Immediately, the jade feet were lifted, without the slightest sluggishness, and entered directly across the door. Compared to Kurenai Yuhi, this is a much bolder character. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened with Shiyu a few days ago, and today I'm here to find Shiyu again. Besides, it's a big night. Just as Tokyo was about to close the door, Enko's voice rang out. Oh, almost forgot. Shiyu, help me put the things in the corner and bring them in. Something. Shiyu muttered, and his eyes immediately locked on the corner of the corridor. Sure enough, there was a black bag there. Toki had thought it was that guy who left the garbage, but it turned out to be something brought by Enko. When he picked it up, it was a little heavy, which made Shiyu a little curious about what was inside. After smelling the smell and the clanging sound of the bag, Shiyu had probably guessed what was inside. Because of this, he guessed Enko's intention to come here. It's just something he didn't expect, and the latter actually found him again. Maybe it's because I had it once here, so I am not afraid of a second time. Geez. Put the black bag on the table, Shiyu pretended to ask. Teacher Enko, what's inside? If you want to know, open it. After making some rustling sounds, Shiyu untied the black bag with 3 strokes and 5 divisions. Soon the cans of wine bottles were revealed. In addition to wine, there were some snacks. Among them, balls are the most. This thing is Enko's favorite. As long as she is not on a mission, she will eat 1 or 2 strings of it almost every day. Mr. Enko, are you trying to drink with me again? Why, you don't want to? Of course not. Shiyu responded, but doubts arose in his heart. The last time Enko drank with herself, it was because Orochimaru's death made her feel like she was finally liberated. Then what is it for this time? Shiyu is really curious about this. Chapter 354-Life is short. Just do it. In the room. Shiyu looked at Enko carefully, and found that although the latter's face seemed calm, there was a trace of sadness in his eyes. Nothing else, something unpleasant must have happened. Otherwise, she wouldn't come to Shiyu to drink and get drunk on this big night. Mr. Enko, have you encountered any trouble? Enko was stunned for a moment. She thought she was hiding well, but she never thought that Shiyu could see through her thoughts at a glance. How did you see that boy? Hey. Shiyu smiled and said randomly, it is said that the eyes are the windows to the soul. Mr. Enko, your godless eyes have already betrayed you. So it is. Forget it, I didn't plan to hide it from you anyway. Actually today is my birthday. As soon as Enko said this, a look of surprise appeared on Shiyu's face. It turned out that he only guessed one reason. When Shiyu was surprised, Enko also revealed the second reason. It's also Matsuri Day for my parents. So, I never have a birthday, and at this time of the year I just get drunk. At this moment, Shiyu undoubtedly knew the truth. Finally understood why there was a trace of sadness in Enko's eyes. It turned out that such an unpleasant thing happened on her birthday when she was a child. However, she was willing to tell Shiyu this secret, which was enough to show that Shiyu had a very high status in her heart. Otherwise, it won't be revealed easily. Only the specific details, Yuhi doesn't want to say, Shiyu naturally won't ask more. Was undoubtedly an indelible scar that Enko hid deep in his heart, and it would never be a good thing to open it up. Seeing Shiyu kept silent, Enko asked again, "How is it? Are you willing to accompany me?" Since it's a warm invitation from Teacher Enko, how could I refuse it? Of course I sacrificed my life to accompany it. The words, Enko is completely won. A big hand patted directly on the table and said, "Wait for your words. The next few hours are for drinking." Although Shiyu's alcohol intake is average, because he is a open black lens bracket sage body close black lens bracket, the effect of alcohol will be slowly eliminated from the body. Simply put, it is quickly evaporated. This process is completely automatic, and there is no need for Shiyuju. Action operation. Therefore, today's Shiyu can be regarded as 1,000 cups without getting drunk. Even if it is soaked in a wine vat for 7 days and 7 nights, there will be no problems. Sage body has many uses, but Shiyu couldn't understand one thing. That is how Senju Hashirama died. According to reason, with sage body and master sage mode, he should have lived for 100 years. Is no problem. According to the time, Hashirama died at the age of 42. I have to say that it is because of Hashirama and Madara. Hidden disease left after World War I in Valley of the End. The two of them at that time could be said to be the pinnacle of the ninja world, and that battle was naturally an earth-shattering battle. The end result is, Madara died, Hashirama hand, and Hashirama was hit hard by it. That kind of injury, even if it's a sage body, can't recover either. There is a sage body. Excessive use, coupled with severe injuries, eventually passed away. This is like comparing me. If Shiyu didn't teach him how to control natural energy, it is estimated that his lifespan would be limited. Sage body. Although it is a super strong physique, if it cannot be used reasonably, it may be attacked. The reason is because Hashirama. The open black lens bracket sage body close black lens bracket is not the most perfect open black lens bracket sage body close black lens bracket, just open black lens bracket intermediate sage body close black lens bracket. Has an amazing recovery ability because of the Asura bloodline flowing in his body, but he cannot reach the sage body. Strength. Because his blood is too thin. Shiyu has a sage body. Because of this, you can be 1,000 times less drunk. But Enko can't. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been drunk last time. At this time, Enko was already floating, and the whole body was drooping on Shiyu's body. Those slight movements made Shiyu unable to stop. Damn, it's good to have a drunken break. You're just playing with fire like this. Shiyu is neither a righteous person, a son of a bitch, nor the kind of saint. How could he possibly stand up to Enko's provocation? If nothing else, something big will happen tonight. As the saying goes, life is short, you should do it, do it. Chapter 355 active Enko. Confused Shiyu. In the room. Yu was about to pick up Enko and head towards the bed, but at this moment, the latter started muttering to himself again. Originally, she didn't want to reveal her thoughts, but at this time, she took the initiative to reveal the cause of her parents' death through Jujin. It turned out to be because she had a birthday when she was a child. At her begging, their family celebrated their birthday in a famous restaurant in the town. But an accident happened, when they just started celebrating their birthdays. The restaurant they were in suddenly caught fire, and her parents both died in the fire to save her. She felt extremely guilty about this. If she didn't have a birthday, this tragedy would not have happened. Hearing Enko's drunken self-report, Tokiyu was also somewhat touched, because he was not a hard-hearted person either. Originally, Shiyu wanted to directly rectify Enko on the spot, but even if the latter recovers tomorrow, he can explain that he drank it too. Just like last time, I don't know what happened at all, so Enko probably won't get too angry even if he is furious. After all, this is what she asked for. Now that something like this happens, she can't blame anyone. Of course, maybe Anko will just leave very shyly. But unfortunately, today's day is a bit special, which makes Toshiyu's heart start to be unsure. If today was just Anko's birthday, then he would choose to start without hesitation. But who would have thought that today is exactly the anniversary of her parents' death? Thinking of this, Shiyu naturally forcibly suppressed the original restlessness in his heart. However, just when Tokiyu was about to give up the idea, Anko's next move caught Tokiyu by surprise. After Anko finished talking about his parents, he was silent for a few seconds, and suddenly a pair of jade hands directly held Shiyu's head, half drunk and half awake, his lips exhaled like blue. "Shiyu, what do you think of me?" Hearing this, Shiyu was naturally stunned. He never expected that Anko would ask such a question. Anko's character on weekdays is indeed bold and heroic, but her appearance is basically a joke. But it's different at this moment, because she's drunk. It's not unreasonable to say that alcohol is a coward, and that you tell the truth after drinking. Anyone who has tried it knows. "Mr. Anko, you are naturally excellent." When Shiyu pretended to be a little drunk, he seemed to be a little bit tongue-tied. Since it is to be installed, it must be installed a little like it. If something unspeakable really happens later, he can pretend to be confused tomorrow. "Truth. Of course." Shiyu responded with a sound, and then said, "Otherwise, how could I accompany you to have a drunken rest?" "That's right. In that case, let's change the way of drinking." Flashed in Anko's eyes between the words, and a captivating smile bloomed on Yuhi's pretty face. Anko's smile made Tokiyu feel a little wicked. "Ms. Anko, what do you want to drink? Look at how we all drink now, like a walking vat of wine." "Almost. So, we can just drink it directly." As soon as Anko's voice fell, Tokiyu seemed to understand something. However, before Shiyu could fully react, a piece of Yuhi's moist lips directly sealed his mouth under his astonished gaze. That moment, Shiyu was dumbfounded. He never imagined that Anko would be so bold, first teasing himself, and then starting to trick himself. And he really implemented the plan, taking advantage of himself. What does it mean to change the drinking method? This is obviously a reason to do things. Walking in a big wine vat, drinking against it, is really a fresh routine. Shiyu finally learned a lesson today, or in other words, he learned a new routine. But this inappropriate routine at the moment did not disgust Shiyu, but made him enjoy it immensely. This kind of thing is naturally fun. Originally, he had given up the idea of rectifying Anko on the spot, but the latter took the initiative to seduce him. Since Anko wants to give it away, he can't help it. If he still gives it up at this time, what kind of man is he? However, Shiyu knows. Unrestrained Anko's character is, he can't be so bold. This is the case at this moment, no doubt because of that wine. Of course, this is also inseparable from Shiyu's position in her heart. Otherwise, she couldn't be like this. At this moment, she was undoubtedly using the strength of the wine to completely burst out her feelings for Shiyu. After experiencing the Land of the Sea incident with Shiyu, she became fond of Shiyu. In the later getting along, this relationship deepened day by day. Only on that night a few days ago did the love buried in her heart explode completely. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to let Shiyu and her get drunk tonight, and she wouldn't be able to tell Shiyu her secret. To know. In previous years, she had lived alone at this time, and even the previous Orochimaru had never spent it with her. Seen that Shiyu already has a pivotal position in her heart. Chapter 356 _ Wonderful Dance. A mortal duo. Moonlight, in the room. In less than a moment, the two figures began to dance. Their dance skills are not outstanding, they are a little jerky. However, this kind of dance seems to be innate, and they can gradually understand the essence of it without being taught at all. Although Anko's dancing skills are very poor, thanks to Tokiyu's guidance. You must know that Tokiyu was not a famous dancer before crossing, but he has seen many famous dance teachings. Under the influence of various famous dance teachers for more than 10 years, I have been immersed in my ears and eyes, and I have learned many techniques and postures subtly. Instructing Anko, it is more than enough. No words all night, only dancing. The next day, when the morning light broke through the clouds and shone on the earth, Shiyu still hadn't woken up from his sleep. This night, he slept soundly. Or, he passed through this, Hokage world. Best sleep ever. Not for anything else, just because of that wonderful dance last night. An hour later, Shiyu finally opened his eyes, but at this time he did not get up directly. Because he was afraid of waking up the person curled up in his arms, the person who studied dancing with him last night. If it weren't for the latter, how could he sleep so soundly last night? Of course, he was so tired from dancing, which might be one of the reasons. Dancing is good, but once you dance too much, you will be tiring. This is both an art and a sport, and it should be done appropriately. After all, the body is the capital of the revolution. In order to avoid embarrassment, Shiyu began to pretend to be asleep like this. Glancing at Anko, who still had a hint of Yuhi dizzy on his face, Shiyu's star-like eyes slowly closed. After half an hour, Anko finally opened her sullen eyes, but she was dumbfounded by everything in front of her. Although her character is bold and bold, how can the current situation make her calm? Last time, they just hugged and slept together. But this time, they had a relationship. If she had not been a ninja for more than 10 years, she had enough concentration, she would have jumped up and shouted with excitement at this moment. Called. But she didn't, because she thought about what happened last night. Even though she was so drunk last night, she was still a little conscious. Especially when she thought that it was Shiyu who took the initiative to do the routine, her pretty face was instantly covered with fiery yuhi. It was even more so, a sense of shame. She didn't expect that she would say such a thing, and she didn't even think that she would put Shiyu on the overlord. At this moment, she can't wait to find a hole to dig into. Obviously, in Anko's opinion, the culprit behind this result is not someone else, but herself. Because from her memory, Shiyu was also drunk last night. But he is right at this time. Launched an attack and took the initiative to send himself to the door. Right, it's the kind of hard giving. That's why she was ashamed just now and had nothing to show her. At this moment, thousands of thoughts flashed through Anko's mind. Next second, she moved her body slightly and looked up at the face that was so close at hand. Little heart was beating even more. Especially the scenes from last night were all presented in her mind at this moment, and that delicate pretty face was suddenly extremely shy. Staring at Shiyu for a while. Only shame in her heart, but no blame at all. Because in her opinion, all this is her responsibility. Shiyu is also a victim, so she does not force the latter to be responsible for her, she is just thinking about how to face the young man in front of her in the future. After all, she likes it from the bottom of her heart. Time feather. Otherwise, it would be impossible to have a heart-to-heart relationship with Shiyu last night. After a long time, Anko seemed to have made a decision in her heart. In order not to wake Shiyu, she carefully left the bed. Passed her clothes on tiptoe, and when she left, she didn't forget to look back at Shiyu. Alas, what a shame. Between the words, Anko reached out and patted his forehead, then quickly left. Obviously, she doesn't know how to face Tokiyu right now, but Anko never imagined that her every move was known to Tokiyu. The moment Anko left the house, Shiyu's eyes opened again, and there was a slight curvature at the corner of his mouth. Because of Anko's performance just now, it made him feel a little funny. Although Anko took the initiative to do things last night, if there was no active cooperation from Tokiyu, and continuous efforts in the follow-up, this will never happen. The so-called overlord taking the bait is actually just Anko's own wishful thinking. Shiyu didn't expect such a good thing to happen. This Kurenai Yuhi did not win, but won Anko, which may be Shiyu's fate. At this moment, Shiyu's eyes were withdrawn from the door, and he immediately put his hands behind his head, feeling extremely comfortable. Working hard for so long, he finally managed to capture one. But he won't let it go, because Konoha still has a lot of flowers that need his watering. In addition to Konoha, there are Iwagakure Village, Kumogakure Village, Sunagakure Village, and Kurigakure Village. 4 major ninja villages are beckoning to him. Rested for a while on the bed. Seeing that the time was about the same, Shiyu got up and went to the Death Forest. And at the same time that Tokiyu taught Naruto, Kakashi and Yamato open black lens bracket Sage mode close black lens bracket, open black lens bracket Akatsuki close black lens bracket organization began to act again. This action is Angle, who loves money, and Hidan, who believe in evil gods. These two people are known as the undead duo. Open black lens bracket Hidan close black lens bracket is immortal. Open black lens bracket Angle close black lens bracket have 5 lives. Chapter 357_Angle with Hidan. Bounty list. Open black lens bracket Hidan close black lens bracket and open black lens bracket Angle close black lens bracket. They came to open black lens bracket Fire Country close black lens bracket for the very simple purpose of capturing open black lens bracket Kyubi, 9 Tails people Jinchuriki column force close black lens bracket. But the Angle who loves money is eyeing a target halfway, a person who offers a bounty in the underground world. At this time, the two of them were heading towards the Temple of Fire. And their target is one of the 12 guardians who guard the Fire Kingdom Daimyo, that is, the current host of the Fire Temple. Elite Jonin, open black lens bracket Delu close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket Delu close black lens bracket is targeted for a very simple reason, because his bonus on the open black lens bracket bounty list close black lens bracket in the underground world is as high as 30 million taels. As long as it is a famous ninja, it will basically be listed. For example, Sarutobi Asuma, he is also one of the 12 guardians, and the amount of reward offered is higher than that of Delu. The bounty is 35 million taels. Time is like running water, half a month is fleeting. In the past half a month, Shiyu has not seen Anko. It is not because he does not want to see him, but not because since that night, Anko seems to want to avoid Tokiha on purpose. You knew, she took a class from Tsunade. The mission left Konoha. It was a protection mission, and it should take a long time. In order to prevent any accidents, Shiyu went there on purpose. Since that night, Anko has undoubtedly become Tokiha's first woman. Therefore, Shiyu is naturally obliged to protect her safety. Akatsuki Anko received a level in GG. After the mission to the village, Shiyu used Kamui to sneak over and take a look. Yu was able to find Anko accurately was not because he wanted Tsunade to ask Anko for the task. It's because he left a space imprint on Anko that night, just in case. Of course, even without this trick, Shiyu wouldn't be able to ask Gang, because in this way, he might be suspicious of everything and say that women are the most sensitive animals. Shiyu doesn't want to be seen any clues, which will affect his future. The strategy is hindering. Shiyu secretly went to see Anko, he didn't met with him. Since Anko didn't want to see him now, he naturally wouldn't appear in front of the latter foolishly. Now that this kind of thing just happened, there is no need to stimulate her. Just let the latter calm down for a while, and when she thinks about it, she will naturally come to Shiyu. At that time, it is estimated that we can do things again. Therefore, Shiyu directly cleaned up the obstacles related to Anko's trip. Done this. Shiyu also left a shadow clone there for emergencies. Although the task obstacle is cleaned up, it is always necessary to keep a hand in case there is any emergency. After all, Anko is always looking absent-minded now. Shiyu didn't want his first woman to die suddenly. In the past half-month. Aside from Anko, Kurenai Yuhi is the one that Shiyu sees the most. After training Naruto, Kakashi and Yamato every day, he would go to Kurenai Yuhi's house for dinner. More diligent than before. At the beginning, Kurenai Yuhi was not used to it, so he always drove Shiyu away. Sure enough, after Shiyu had aired her for a few days, she began to feel unhappy. It wasn't until the moment when Shiyu reappeared that a smile appeared on her face, but she still pretended to be angry. Under Shiyu's sweet words, she began to accept the reality. Although the relationship between male and female friends has not been determined, it is basically the same, and it is almost the same as living together. During this time, due to Kurenai Yuhi's growing affection for Tokiyu, although Shiyu scolded her for some of her bold actions during this period, she secretly laughed in her heart. As for the last layer of membrane between them, Shiyu was not in a hurry to pierce it, because he already had an idea in his mind. A while, it will be Kurenai Yuhi's birthday. Thinking back to the night of Enko's birthday, Tokiyu feels that there will be another beautiful night soon. Chapter 358 _ The Blood Contract Evolves. Blood Pact Seal. Sun hangs high, in the forest of death. After half a month of practice, Kakashi has finally crossed the first step. You can fully integrate yourself with nature and feel the ubiquitous, natural energy. And, he has already started the second stage of training. That is to combine open black lens bracket spiritual strength close black lens bracket, open black lens bracket physical strength close black lens bracket and open black lens bracket natural energy close black lens bracket to create stronger open black lens bracket sage art chakra close black lens bracket. Not only him, but also Yamato has reached this stage. Seen that Yamato's sage art qualification is a bit better than Kakashi. Otherwise, it is impossible for him to catch up with Kakashi, who is known as a genius, after practicing 3 days late. All of this is naturally attributed to open black lens bracket Hashirama cells close black lens bracket. This is undoubtedly the creation of Yamato, which is not possessed by Kakashi. In animation. Reason why I can comprehend open black lens bracket Raichi Cave Sage Mode close black lens bracket is actually related to open black lens bracket Hashirama cell close black lens bracket. Because after Orochimaru died, he transplanted all available cells into his body. And this includes the Hashirama cell that Orochimaru has not yet thoroughly researched. During the Fourth War of the Ninja World, Kabuto caught Yamato, extracted the available open black lens bracket Hashirama cells close black lens bracket from the latter, and used a large number of white Zetsu as research objects. Finally, I thoroughly researched the Hashirama cell. Sasuke was able to resurrect after being pierced by Uchiha Madara's sword, thanks to Kabuto's medical ninjutsu. And Hashirama cells. Both Kakashi and Yamato entered the second stage of training, but Naruto's training results far surpassed both. Because today's Naruto has basically mastered Sage Mode. Although it is not perfect, at least it has stabilized and has entered the third stage of practice. That is to use Sage Art Chakra to release ninjutsu. This stage allows the caster to make the Sage Mode master perfect faster. Naruto's Sage Mode looks the same as usual, the only difference is his blue eyes became yellow. Nothing else has changed. This is a human-exclusive Sage Mode, so there is no such thing as toad transformation, snake, etc. Influence. Will not be any specific lines on the face. The reason why open black lens bracket Raichi Cave Sage Mode close black lens bracket will be snaked is because open black lens bracket Sage Art Chakra close black lens bracket is to guide their snake practice. The same is true for open black lens bracket Mount Myoboku close black lens bracket and open black lens bracket Shikatsu Forest close black lens bracket. The only difference is that open black lens bracket Raichi Cave close black lens bracket mode is closer to dragon. The more perfect the form. And open black lens bracket Mount Myoboku close black lens bracket and open black lens bracket Shikatsu Forest close black lens bracket are closer to people. The more perfect the form. Therefore, the Sage Mode of Raichi Cave will not have any specific lines on the face, because they are straight. Shown as a feature. This is Blood Pact Evolution. Exclamation mark. As the name suggests, it is the power of blood contract. An ability to evolve into a feature. Because what they are after is turning into a dragon. So it will not inhibit the power of blood pact. Evolution. But open black lens bracket Mount Myoboku close black lens bracket and open black lens bracket Shikatsu forest close black lens bracket have textures. Appearance. And these lines are used to inhibit the blood deed evolution. Yes, this pattern is called blood deed pattern. Exclamation mark. To be precise, this is a seal called blood pact seal. Therefore, the so-called blood pact will inevitably appear on the face when the sage mode of Mount Myoboku and Shikatsu forest are used. This is why only the blood contract is signed with the three holy lands. The reason why people can practice their respective open black lens bracket sage mode close black lens bracket. If you don't sign a blood contract with their holy land, even if someone teaches you to practice their holy land's sage mode, the final result will either become a toad, a python, or a dead bone. Moreover, they will all become petrified in the end. Therefore, they are not at all worried that someone will get the method of cultivation and cultivate secretly. Because, there is only one dead end in that outcome. Naruto. You are going to start the third stage of training now, and I intend to teach you the practice of futon wind style Rasenshuriken. Hearing Shiyu's words, Naruto said with great excitement. Really? Of course it's true. Shiyu responded with a sound, and then said, do you know why the lecherous immortal didn't let you practice this ninjutsu? He said that the damage to the body is too great, and that if he is not careful, he will make himself crippled. The lecherous immortal is right, this Rasenshuriken does have certain damage to the caster, and ordinary people cannot easily cultivate. Then how did you do it? Naruto wondered. Hearing this, Shiyu smiled lightly and said immediately. Because I have sage body. Open black lens bracket sage body close black lens bracket. Naruto murmured, feeling that these three words sounded familiar. His right hand rubbing his chin, after some thought, a familiar figure flashed in his mind. Tokiha, but the same open black lens bracket sage body close black lens bracket as Shigego. Nice. Hearing Tokiha and Naruto's reply, Kakashi and Yamato were in a fog. What open black lens bracket sage body close black lens bracket what open black lens bracket Chongo close black lens bracket at this point, Kakashi also asked curiously. Shiyu, what is the sage body you just said? Also, who is Chongwu? Chapter 359 Fairy Body. Uchiha Madara. Shiyu, what is the sage body you just said? Also, who is Chongwu? Kakashi's question. Yamato also locked his eyes on Tokyo. Obviously, he was also very curious about this. However, before Tokyo could answer, Naruto was the first to speak. Kakashi-sensei, open black lens bracket sage body close black lens bracket is a body that naturally absorbs open black lens bracket natural energy close black lens bracket. It is said that this is a one-of-a-kind constitution, and there may not be one in 10,000 people born to absorb natural energy. Kakashi and Yamato, who heard the words, let out a stunned look at the same time, and their faces were all surprised. They didn't expect that such a physique still exists in the world. You must know that ordinary people want to perceive natural energy, to have aptitude, and what they can perceive is almost 1 in 100. And this is only perceptible, and does not include being able to cultivate successfully. But if he has sage body, then he is born with the ability to cultivate sage mode. Of course, he has to know that there is sage mode. Otherwise, how dare he combine that mysterious natural energy with his own two energies? Between Kakashi and Yamato's astonishment, Naruto's voice sounded again. As for that, Chongo, he was discovered by us at the Orochimaru research base, and he provided the curse seal on Sasuke. Hearing Naruto's words, Kakashi was taken aback. Yamato may not know much about the cursed seal, but Kakashi saw Orochimaru plant the cursed seal of heaven on Sasuke with his own eyes. And afterwards, he still used Sasuke's seal to suppress it. He never imagined that the cursed seal on Sasuke's body was actually extracted from a human body, which was incredible. According to what you said, does the so-called cursed seal have something to do with Sage body? Well, it does matter. Shiyu responded to Kakashi, and immediately said, Yin is a manifestation of natural energy, because it is not converted into Sage Art Chakra, it will cause serious damage to the human body. Lightly, fall into a frenzy. The most important thing is to die on the spot. Words, Kakashi suddenly realized. He couldn't help recalling that Sasuke was indeed a little irrational when he woke up after being planted by Orochimaru. Now it seems that it must be influenced by natural energy. If he does not touch natural energy, there is bound to be some doubt. But now he has started to condense open black lens bracket Sage Art Chakra close black lens bracket. Naturally he is no stranger to open black lens bracket natural energy close black lens bracket. Before, he didn't know what and where the powerful energy emanating from Sasuke came from. Having been exposed to natural energy, you must know that this energy has a powerful recovery ability. But if it weren't for Sage body, it would be difficult for ordinary people to use it. So, Sage mode was developed. Tokiyu's words made Naruto, Kakashi and Yamato understand a passive ability of open black lens bracket Sage mode close black lens bracket. That is the ability to self-recover. Naruto, now you know why I asked you to learn Sage mode first. Although Naruto was stunned, but not stupid. Shiyu has said it so thoroughly, if he still understands, then he is really stupid like a dog. Open black lens bracket futon wind style shuriken close black lens bracket it requires the arm to take great risks. If there is no strong self-recovery ability, it is impossible to use. At this moment, Yamato suddenly thought of something. Time feather. It is said that the first Hokage has a very strong self-healing ability. Does he also have what you call Sage body? The reason why Yamato asked Tokiyu was because Tokiyu told him something about the original Hokage meeting Sage mode half a month ago. Since Slug Immortal has talked about this with Shiyu, maybe Shiyu will know about it and maybe in his opinion, if anyone among the several people present knows, this person must be Shiyu. At these words, a curious look appeared on Kakashi's face. Because he knew it too, or most of the ninjas in Konoha knew it. Not to mention, even ninja villages in other countries have heard of this. But without knowing the existence of open black lens bracket Sage body close black lens bracket, they can only classify it as open black lens bracket Senju Hashirama close black lens bracket a special ninjutsu. I'm afraid only the latter's old enemy, open black lens bracket Uchiha Madara close black lens bracket, knows a little bit about it. Open black lens bracket Uchiha Madara close black lens bracket knows open black lens bracket Sage mode close black lens bracket this Sage art, but may not know the existence of open black lens bracket Sage body close black lens bracket. However, as soon as the Yamato question fell, Naruto was the first to speak. I know this. Kakashi and Yamato were slightly taken aback by Naruto's answer. They thought Tokiha might know about it. But I didn't expect this guy Naruto to know it. No wonder they have a look of surprise in their eyes at the moment. Chapter 360 _ The Strength and Talent of the Evildoer. Unique Physique. You know. Naruto nodded smugly at Kakashi's surprise. I already knew about this from Shiyu. Naruto didn't lie. Toshiba mentioned the fact that open black lens bracket Senju Hashirama close black lens bracket has open black lens bracket Sage body close black lens bracket in open black lens bracket North's secret house close black lens bracket. There were also Sasuke, Suzuki, Karen and Shigego. Oh. Yamato let out a light sound and immediately asked, Naruto, does the first Hokage have a Sage body? Of course there is. With Naruto's confirmation, Yamato didn't seem to believe it finally, so he couldn't help but want to confirm it to Tokyo again. Shiyu, Naruto, what he said is true. Shiyu nodded slightly, and then said, "This is what Slug Immortal told me, and I also confirmed it later when I was researching Hashirama cells with Grandma Tsunade. Furthermore, there is one more point that can now be used as evidence." "Which point?" Yamato asked again. "That's yourself, Captain Yamato." Yamato between the words couldn't help pointing to himself, with a confused look on his face. Seeing this, Shiyu continued. "Captain Yamato, do you know why I asked you to practice Sage Mode that day?" Hearing this, he was stunned for a moment. It seemed that he really hadn't considered this. Shiyu and him have not known each other for a long time, and the relationship between Shiyu and him cannot be compared to Naruto and Kakashi. Thinking about it this way, Shiyu seems to have a reason to teach him. Is it just to increase his own strength and make Yi better? This reason is too far-fetched, and even he can't convince him. Watching Captain Yamato, he hesitated. It seems that Shiyu is no longer difficult for the latter, and said slowly. "Actually, the reason is very simple. First, I'm trying to verify whether people who have first-generation Hokage cells can perceive natural energy. Looks like it might work now. At least, Captain Yamato, your success, of course, this is not necessarily all the credit of the first-generation Hokage cells. Second, if you can really cultivate into Sage Mode, it will not only strengthen Mokuden, wood style, but also increase the strength of our Konoha village. This kills two birds with one stone. There is no reason not to try. Of course. The premise is that you are a good person, Captain Yamato, and you are a close friend of Kakashi-sensei, so I will have this idea. However, come back. Captain Yamato, I didn't force you to practice. You must not blame me for being selfish." After hearing what Shiyu said, Yamato finally understood, and then said with a smile. "This is my decision, how can you blame you? You can teach me Sage Mode so generously, I'm grateful that you can't wait enough." Indeed, Yamato has absolutely no reason to blame Tokyo. Want to learn Sage Mode, but who can have this blessing? It is all his own decision. Moreover, now Shiyu has taken the initiative to clarify everything, which is enough to show that the former is recognized own. In any way, he had no reason to blame Shiyu. Kakashi and Yamato are both extremely shocked at this moment, and Tokyo's strength and talent have already shocked them. "I didn't expect to have such a unique physique. It's really maddening people to compare with others." At this moment, they are all very grateful that they and Shiyu are not of the same generation. Otherwise, they must be crushed to the death. Although they are still being crushed, they are fortunately seniors. This is the only advantage they can get from Tokyo. After some surprise, Kakashi brought out the last curiosity in his heart. "Time Feather. I've been hearing you guys talk about Rasenshuriken just now. What kind of ninjutsu is that?" For a kind of ninjutsu that can damage oneself and can only be practiced in the Sage Mode state. Naturally, Kakashi is curious. Not only him, Yamato is no exception.